So maybe you know that social media is destroying girls and video games and pornography are addicting boys. You know that these come primarily through the smartphone, but you still give it to them. You're still tempted to give it to them. You still haven't made a decision. Today, we're going to talk about why that is. What is stopping you? I'm Dr. Johann D'Souza, 15 years mentoring boys and thousands of clinical hours. Let's learn the real reasons why you will still give your child a smartphone. Let's start by destroying the most common excuse. So I started giving this talk 8 years ago, and at the time I thought that the real problem was just ignorance. Parents just don't know better. They don't know the science out there. They don't know the research. But after speaking to parents over and over again, I came to realize there is a different challenge, an underlying challenge that parents are not even aware of. So I'm just going to be straightforward with you here. The real problem is not ignorance. It's anxious moms and weak, passive dads. Why are moms anxious? And by the way, these gender roles can switch. I'm just talking about the way that it's most commonly observed. Moms are anxious about physical safety of their child. They're worried that their child won't have any friends, won't have any social life. They're also worried about mom pressure, peer pressure from other people, judging them whether they're good moms or not. So physical safety. We actually live in a very safe time in our society. If you just compare the historical crime rates, if a child wanted to be kidnapped, he'd have to wait until he's 700,000 years old. It's more likely to be struck by lightning or born as a conjoined twin than to be kidnapped. And on the other hand, ironically, the smartphones lead to physical dangers. There's 500,000 predators online each day, according to the FBI. 1/3 of boys 9 to 12-year-old have received nude photos. Half of those believe that they have come from adults, actually. I'm not just talking about these personal dangers, but what about the physical dangers? In terms of physical dangers, well, one of the leading causes of death for young people is suicide. Well, what contributes to depression? We know that social media contributes to depression. The other leading cause of death in young people is accidents, especially car accidents. When the smartphone is in the car, do you think that makes them drive more safely, with more attention, less distraction? I don't think so. Moms are also anxious that their child won't have a social life. They won't have any friends. They'll be lonely. They won't be accepted by the group if they don't have a smartphone and social media. This is especially a concern for moms of girls. And what I want to emphasize here is if you need social media to have friends, you don't have real friends and you don't know what friendship is. And in fact, social media is antisocial and leads to greater loneliness. We know this from a study in the Academy of Psychological Science. They showed that social media has a bidirectional relationship to loneliness, meaning the lonelier someone is, the more social media they use. And also, the more social media they use, the lonelier they become. The most well-adjusted, confident young people that I've worked with, that I've talked with, are the ones with limited phone access or no phone access. They don't have social media. They may not even have a smartphone. They may not even have a phone at all. They have real confidence. They can look someone in the eye. They can introduce themselves to a stranger. They can start a conversation. They can continue a conversation. These are real social skills. Lastly, mom guilt. Mom guilt is real. Peer pressure is real, and it's not just for children. I came to realize that in my own life when I had to stand up for my values, and I realized how scared I was to do so. Peer pressure is very real. And here, as with all forms of anxiety, my message to moms is, hey, it's okay to be anxious. You can be anxious and still do what is right. You can still do what is good for yourself, for your children, for your family. Even with anxiety. Anxiety is actually not a problem. It's only a problem when you think it's a problem, because then it turns into a vicious cycle where it builds off of itself. And if you are more anxious than you'd like to be, you want to lower that a little, have a little bit more self-possession. Well, there are very helpful skills to practice, like daily mindfulness, practice that I do myself multiple times a day. The second parental obstacle from the dad side now is weakness or apathy or permissiveness, passiveness. It's like the dad has been stripped from his role in the family, from his role in society. This is not an accident. Watch movies, shows, advertisements, going back for years, for decades. Typical thing is to portray the dad as fat, incompetent, a bumbling fool. He depends on his wife and his children to just be able to survive in day-to-day life. Look at the Barbie movie, great illustration of that. Combine all this with this message of so-called toxic masculinity, and the result is Men think that the height of masculinity, the height of being of manly virtue is being a nice guy pushover that just goes with whatever your wife and kids say. And that's what being a good man is. That is wrong. Being a man is about being a protector, protecting your children, protecting your wife, the most innocent people, the ones that no one else can protect for you, protecting them from the great evils that they're surrounded by every day, protecting them even when they don't like it, even when it's uncomfortable for them. For example, protecting your child from the smartphone, from internet predators, from pornography addiction. They may not be jumping up and down ecstatic with joy. Thank you, Dad, for protecting me from all these perverts online. They're not. They want the social acceptance. But in a year, in 2 years, in a few years, when they are older, when they're married, when they have their own kids, they're going to love you and respect you and thank you. I've seen that happen. It's beautiful. So dads, take back your role as head of the family. It's okay if your wife is anxious if you stay strong. It's okay if your child is whining and complaining and wanting things that are bad for her if you stay strong. Because if you don't do this, what happens is a complete inversion of the power hierarchy in the family, in which the girl's emotions control her actions. Her actions then control her mom's emotions, which control her behavior, which then control the dad. It's a complete inversion in which the authority of the family, the direction, the leadership of the family begins and ends with the emotions of a teenage girl. If you've been watching these videos, you know the statistics, you know the harm. The problem is not ignorance. The problem is likely internal to the parents, anxious moms, passive dads. Let's stand up. Let's get those resilient matriarchs, those strong patriarchs that have an intergenerational impact on their families long after they're gone, so that you will one day hear the best compliment a parent can receive from your child's mouth, which is, Mom and Dad, I'm going to raise my children exactly how you raised me. If you want to check out the 4 crucial moments when parents might miss this and get it wrong, download the free guide that's going to be in the description. I'm happy to speak to your group in person. Contact me. We'll make it happen. I'm Dr. Johann. See you in the next video.